Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to see the concept of dashboard. So here we have requirement which we have to fulfill by using the dashboard concept. In this case, the data is given to you for the 12 months, the productivity and sales. In the cell F4, you have to create the drop down for all the months, which is from Jan to December. So for creating the drop down list for the month, we have to use the data validation concept. For implement the data validation, go into this data tab, and here you can go with this data validation. For creating the drop down, we will select the list from this drop down, and in the source, we will select the range of this month from Jan to December. Once you will click on OK, so here in the drop down, all your months will be listed. You can select any of the month from the drop down. Now, the requirement is if user select any of the month from the drop down, then from Jan to this selected month, your graph should be visible. It means in this case, if I have selected the month as a June, then here the graph should be populated, which should consider the data from Jan to June. If user will change this month from May, then from Jan to May, your graph should reflect. So graph always work on your range. It means when user will select any of the month from the drop down, then from the Jan to the selected month, your month range should be highlighted, your productivity should be highlighted, and your sales should be highlighted. It means if in this case I have selected the May month from the drop down, then Jan to May, your month range should select, Jan to May, your productivity range should select, and sales also should be select from Jan to May. So it means my range should be dynamic in the graph. So for creating the dynamic range, we have to use the name manager. So to create the name manager, we have to go into formulas and click on this name manager. Once you will click on this name manager, so here I have some old name manager which was created. I can delete this one. And now for creating the name manager, simply click on this new. Once you will click on this new, here it is asking for the name manager. So for the name manager, if you are not aware, so you can refer my previous sessions where I have explained the name manager in detail. So here I need to create a one name manager for the month, one name manager for the productivity, and one name manager for the sales. So here I'm just keeping the name as a month. You can keep any name over here. Now it is asking refers to. So here to make this range dynamic, we will use the offset function. So offset, now we have to give the reference that from the Jan, it means from the A5 cell, my range should get a start. Then in the row, we put 0. In the column, we put 0. Because we do not need to move the one by one row and one by one column. We have to select the range. Now, the third one is here, which we have to pass now, which is basically the height. So it means from the Jan, I just need to select the height as per my selected month. So here, to identify the position of the May in this month range, we will select the match function. So match, this is your lookup value, which we have to search into this range, and 0 for exact match. Now close the bracket for the match and close the bracket for the offset. Once you will click on OK, so here through this offset, I have created this name manager. If I select this one, so here you can see it is highlighting the range from Jan to May. If I will change the drop down value from May to August, and now if I show you the name manager, so you can see it is selecting the range from Jan to August. So the month range is completely the dynamic. Similarly, we have to create the name manager for the productivity and sales. So we can click on this new, and here I can give the name manager as a prod, or entire productivity you can also mention. Now same offset function we have to use, and in this case for the productivity we have to use the column B instead of column A. But we also can go into the another way. For the month, we have created the name manager which we can refer. So I can refer the month name manager which we have created and 0, 1. It means the month which we have as a name manager, whatever the range is selecting by this month name manager. So in the next column, I just need to select the same range. So it means if you have selected this August from the drop down, then from for the Jan to August, your productivity will be highlighted. So if I click on a OK and show this to you, so you can see it is selecting the productivity from Jan to August. Same, we have to go for the sales. So click on a new, and here name manager I can give as a sales, and same I can use the offset function, and I can refer the month as a name manager and 0, 2, which is nothing but the second column. If I click on a OK and run this, so here you can see it is selecting the sales for Jan to August. So my name manager is created for month, productivity, and sales. Now I can close this name manager window. Now I will just create this graph. So I will select this entire data, and I have just pressed the shortcut key as a Alt-IH. Or you can go into this insert tab, and here you can see the graph. So here, if you have created this graph, so I have created this graph here. Now in this graph, here in this graph, we just need to call the name manager. So before call this name manager, if you want to change the chart styles, so you can change the chart styles as well. Like I have selected this chart style. And if you want to change the chart type as well, you can change the chart type. So like here, if this sales I want to show in the line. So here I can do the right click on the graph, and here I can go into this change chart type, and here if you see this combo chart, you can see the sales. So sales is converted into line, and here you can select the line type as well, like line with markers. Now if I click on OK, so you can see the sales is converted into line and productivity is in the bar. So as of now, if you will select any month from the drop down, your graph will not change. The reason is the name manager which we have created, we haven't called into this graph. So how you will call the name manager in the graph? So do the right click on the graph, and you can go with this select data. Now in this select data source, in the right hand side, you can see all the months. So simply click on this add it, and here in this range, after this exclamation sign, whatever the range is coming, you can delete this and you can call the name manager. So for the month, we have created the name manager as a month, which I have called. Now same for the productivity, I will select and add it, and same here, I will delete this range and I will call the name manager. For the productivity, I have created as a prod. And same for the sales, I will select this range, and in place of this, I will call this name manager, which is sales. Once you will click on a OK, so you can see your graph is representing now from Jan to August. If I select it from drop down, I have selected the May, so you can see from Jan to May, you are able to see the graph. If I select the October, so your graph gets changed from Jan to October. So now your graph is completely dynamic. Now, if you want to show the figures as well, which is nothing but the data labels, so you can go with this data label concept. You can select this graph and you can click on this plus sign, and here you can see these data labels. You can add these data labels. So the data labels is added. Now, if this graph is quite cumbersome for you, that it is quite dicey that which figures belongs to productivity and sales, so instead of data labels, you can use this data table. So if you select this data table, so separately it will create. So for the Jan, this 4000 is the productivity and 7983 is your sales. If you will select any of the month from the drop down, so according to that, your table and graph will automatically will adjust. So like here, you have selected this June month. So from Jan to June, you are able to see the graph. In this graph, if you do not require this major grid lines, so you can select the graph and click on plus sign and you can uncheck these grid lines. If you uncheck these grid lines, so the grid lines has been removed. Now, I want to make this chart title dynamic. If user select the Jan month from the drop down, then my chart title should be Jan. And if user select any other month from the drop down, then my chart title should be Jan to this selected month. So here in any of the cell, I can put the formula which I can call. I can use this if the selected value is equals to Jan, then Jan should reflect, else Jan 2, and I have concatenated this selected value. So if you see here from the drop down, I have selected this March. So here this Jan to March is coming. Now the formula which is giving you output into this E6 cell, that I have to connect with this chart title. So simple, just click on this chart title. Do not double click, just do the single click. Then after, click on this formula bar and put equal sign. After put equal sign, you have to select the cell in which your formula is entered. Like I have selected this E6. Once I will press the enter, so you can see your chart title, Jan to March. Now this cell, I can make it into the white color so that will not visible to the user. So here you can see. So if I will just change it from March to August, so here in the graph, you will be able to see the output from Jan to August, and your chart title has been changed from Jan to August. If you will select the Jan from the drop down, then your chart title will be Jan. If you will select the November from the drop down, so your graph will represent from Jan to November, and your chart title is also from Jan to November. So this is the way how you can make the dynamic dashboard by using the data validation and the name manager. And we have also seen how you can make the chart title dynamic. Thank you so much for watching this session. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you.